the live-action Barbie movie is finally here. This, personally, is a moment I've been waiting on for years. I was following this movie back in 2016 when Amy Schumer was supposed to be playing Barbie. Regardless of religious beliefs, can we take a second to thank God that that did not happen? Amy Schumer said she left the movie due to creative differences, but considering the fact that she never created a damn thing in her life, I refuse to believe that. Regardless, with the imminent release of the Barbie movie, what better time to go back and enjoy these straight-to-DVD Barbie movies that we all know and love? Regardless of race, age, or gender, I think if you dig deep enough into that pile of old movies your parents had when you were in elementary school, you'll find at least 2 of these Barbie movies in there. That's because these movies were mass-produced, went straight to store shelves, and were dirt cheap at the time. Most parents probably figured, oh well, at least my 13-year-old son has something to watch now. Even if that movie was about becoming a pretty pink princess in France. I mean, cinema is still cinema. Barbie as Princess and the Pauper is the 4th in a long series of straight-to-DVD Barbie movie releases. Released on September 28, 2004, Barbie as Princess and the Pauper is about Barbie playing both a princess and a pauper. Revolutionary, I know. And now one last thing before we get into the movie. I'm pretty sure this thing only exists in like 320p. I genuinely have no clue if it was my computer or the fact that this movie was made 19 years ago, but the quality of this movie is not exactly a 10 out of 10. I just wanted to let you know that this wasn't my recording software, this is just what the movie looks like. But without further ado, let's just get straight into our movie. Princess and the Pauper begins with some good old-fashioned exposition dumping, where we learn about 2 identical abominations from the 4th circle of hell being born at the exact same time. The first is Princess Annalise, born to the rich and prosperous king and queen of the kingdom. By the way, it is just the kingdom. It doesn't have a name, or at least not one that it makes the audience aware of. It is listed as Dulcinea on the wiki, but I swear I never heard anyone say it during the movie. The second child is Erica, who was born to an unfortunate poor family in the long-lost land of Toledo, Ohio. After a quick little 17-year time skip, we learn that the kingdom has gone broke. Presumably because it also went woke. No, actually they just mined all of the gold that the kingdom had to offer. If this were real life, they'd probably just go conquer a small, powerless third world country. But because this is a movie and people have empathy, the queen just decides to sell her daughter off to a king in a kingdom far, far away. This is Princess Annalise, voiced by Kelly Sheridan. Well, kinda. Right now she's voiced by Melissa Lyons because she's currently singing. But in about 3 minutes and 40 seconds, she'll be voiced by Kelly Sheridan. Having separate voice actors for singing and talking was a rather common thing to do back in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. This is Erica, who is also voiced by Kelly Sheridan while speaking, but for some reason while singing, she's voiced by Julie Stevens. Why they have different singing voice actors but the same talking voice actor, I have no clue. Erica is singing about how poor she is, and how she wishes she could have her life to herself, rather than working 70 hours a week for this lady. This is Madam Carp, voiced by Pam Hyatt. She's like if Elon Musk and his Twitter fanboys had a daughter. Madam Carp is pretty next level on her cruelty.
They did it to feed me.
Fair mistake.
But backing up a moment from that, this human trafficker is Queen Genevieve, voiced by Ellen Kennedy. She's selling her daughter off to an 18-year-old king for the financial security of her kingdom, which I guess is kinda morally gray enough for me to let this slide, but it's still ultimately pretty fucked up if you ask me. Listen, all I'm saying is she's not too old to get married, so she could have stepped up to the plate for herself. I have no reason to believe that King Dominic has anything against marrying a gilf. The song that's currently playing is titled Free, which is about how Erica and Annalise wish they could switch lives because one has money and hates it, and one has no money and hates it. Wait a second, so is this like the fairy tale version of The Parent Trap? Down in the mines, we're introduced to these 2 thieves named Steve and Alex, played by Brian Drummond and Jan Rabson respectively. They're currently in the process of stealing gold for this creep. This is Master Preminger, played by Martin Short, who quickly breaks into song after learning that Steve and Alex have just stolen the last bit of gold that the kingdom has to offer. This song is titled How Can I Refuse? Preminger's plan is to steal all of the gold in the kingdom, then marry Princess Annalise himself. That way he gets to become a king, and the kingdom gets to have all of his gold. But I think he's forgetting the minor detail that he's bringing nothing to the table. Does he not realize that Prince Charming is not only still rich, but actually, you know, the same age as the princess? Also, what even is his plan to bring the gold up to the queen? Hey Queen Genevieve, remember me, your royal servant Preminger? Why would I not? I don't know. Hey, by the way, I'm rich now. Oh, cool. How'd you do that? It was actually super easy. I just mined all of our land's natural resources for it. Oh, so you're gonna give them back because you acquired them illegally? Sure, I'll give them back. For your daughter. What? If you let me marry your daughter, I'll give back the gold that I acquired. Pass. Perfect. Wait, what? Oh, it's just that King Dominic is gonna do the exact same thing, except he isn't in his mid-40s, doesn't speak in a weird British accent, and is insanely hot. That is fair. He is insanely hot. Yeah, thanks for the offer, though. Wait! But what if I threw in this boat? Where did you get that? The boat store. Get the out of my face. Yeah, my bad. Anyway, the song is actually a fucking banger, so at least he's got that going for him. In the next scene, we learn that all of the animals in this universe talk, because it is a kid's movie after all. This dog's name is Midas, who is also played by Jan Rabson. He really wants to bite the cat's tail for some reason. The cat's name is Serafina. That is not a real name. Serafina is played by Kathleen Barr, and is somewhat sassy, witty, and relatively upbeat. Our next character is Annalise's tutor, Julian, played by Alessandro Giuliani. Julian is in love with Annalise, but he knows that the arranged marriage will provide Annalise and the kingdom with what's best, so he's settled himself pretty comfortably into the friend zone. To cheer Annalise up, he takes her out for a day on the town since she never gets to leave the castle walls due to all of her royal duties. But her day in town turns a little sour when she's forced to remember that poor people exist. You know, usually I'd have sympathy, but she's the princess. This is literally her family's fault. Annalise is lured over by Erica's singing, and this is where they have their "You're Like Me" moment from Into the Spider-Verse. They do touch on the fact that they look exactly like each other, but they move on from that pretty quickly and become besties in the span of exactly 34 seconds. They then begin to serenade each other with their own personal problems. This is where Erica calls herself an indentured servant, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, she is just a slave, and the movie gives me no reason to believe otherwise. This song is titled "I'm a Girl Like You," where they realize that they have the exact opposite of the other's problems. They don't decide to do anything with this somewhat creepy revelation quite yet, but it is stated that the princess has a very specifically shaped birthmark on her shoulder, while the Pauper does not. Remember that for later. I feel like this is probably a Chekhov's gun moment coming up here. There is an entire chase sequence here that literally only serves to set up the existence of this cat. This cat's name is Wolfie, voiced by James Corlett. This cat barks, and it is questioned by people, but it is never actually explained by anyone in the movie. I think the closest we get is Erica saying it's just because he's different. That is not really a helpful explanation. Can you imagine if you went to the zoo and the lion just starts barking at you and the zookeeper is just like, yeah, he does that sometimes. But after being introduced to this insult to God's creation, Annalise and Erica head on their separate ways. But it is also safe to say that Wolfie wants his relationship with Serafina to become what Gigi had in Kiki's Delivery Service. That night, Serafina is distracted by a mouse toy and is abducted by Steve and Alex. They then begin to violently shake the cat so that it starts meowing, so they can lure out Annalise and capture her. The castle doesn't have any security because they're still incredibly broke, so abducting royalty is something that's actually super easy to do. Steve and Alex take the princess to this random house at an unnamed location, where Serafina is introduced to Herve Kazaz, voiced by Gary Chalk. He's a slow-talking and sweet horse who isn't a huge fan of the fact that Preminger and the gang just abducted a child. Preminger wants Barbie to be kept captive until after her wedding with King Dominic, which was stated earlier in the movie to be exactly a week from today. Serafina figures violence is the only way to get inside the house. So instead of asking Herve to do something that he's completely physically capable of doing, she violently stabs him, causing him to reflex kick her on top of the house. She then thanks him politely and makes her way down the chimney. The next day, Preminger leads Queen Genevieve to believe that Annalise has run away to escape the responsibility of marrying King Dominic. I guess they also forged this note from the princess, but it's hard to really tell since there is literally no writing on the paper. Preminger says that he'll send out search parties to find her and then gives her the most devious stare ever. Dude, what the hell are you giving her this look for? Julian, however, is onto the fact that Annalise hasn't truly gone missing, as her stationery is scented with lilac and not the usual rose scent. Julian goes to see Erica the next day, and he asks her to commit impersonation of royalty, but only for a little itty-bitty short amount of time, so that they can trick Preminger into thinking that Annalise actually never went missing. By the way, the movie itself does specifically say that the punishment for this crime would be either life in prison or likely even death. Also, she does find it necessary to bring Wolfie, probably for moral and emotional support. Julian brings Erica a blonde weave that just goes right over her natural hair, so that was actually really easy. But before we move on, we need to talk about how problematic of a character Wolfie truly is. I feel like a cat barking and growling and all this shit is probably racist in universe, right? This is like if a white dude walked into a barbershop and just started saying the N-word because it feels natural for him. I like to imagine that Wolfie would try and defend himself by saying, "Oh, it's just a word. Your people say it all the time." But yeah, hashtag Wolfie is over party. Erica says that she doesn't have the first idea about how to become a princess, but Julian says that he can take care of that. So everyone place your bets down now. Are we gonna get just a song, just a montage, or both at the same time? If you guessed just a song, you'd be correct. This is our next song in the movie, titled To Be a Princess, where Julian mansplains on how to be a princess. The list of princessing rules includes but is not limited to step lightly, nod politely, be able to play the harpsichord, okay that one can't be necessary, always take dainty steps, and never make your own bed. Okay, at best, she has time to learn 3 of those, and one of them cannot be the harpsichord. After the song, Julian brings Erica into the royal chamber, and it seems she chose to learn how to nod politely but not step lightly. Preminger is also not too happy about the fact that his child abduction plan seemingly didn't work out in his favor. But after learning that the princess is safe, the wedding is rescheduled and King Dominic will be arriving tomorrow. That night, we cut back to Steve and Alex, who have been positively duped by Annalise and Serafina. Which, you know what? This is not even their fault because the cat is literally f***ing floating. Maybe there are some strings I just can't see because this movie was rendered on a goddamn PlayStation Portable, but this is enough of a distraction for Annalise and Serafina to escape. Shortly after that, Preminger shows up with Julian not far behind. Julian, however, is caught snooping around and gets f***ing jumped by Steve and Alex. Annalise comes back but is pushed aside by the guards as they're under the impression that Erica is the real princess and Annalise is only pretending to be a princess. This dude also gets super f***ing pressed by her simply asking to enter the castle, which is wild.
Princess Annalise, let me through.
I said move along, now!
Bro has one job to do and he f***ing hates it. Annalise goes to see Erica but is pulled aside by Miss Bezos and is forced into slave labor as she is under the impression that Annalise is Erica. And yes, she does just entirely disregard the blonde hair. So Annalise has to send Serafina to the castle as a messenger cat. The next morning, Erica is greeted by the world's most normal breakfast in bed, consisting of, and I shit you not, 6 cinnamon rolls, 2 hard-boiled eggs, 5 what might be crepes, 2 red delicious apples, 13 square grapes, 5 strawberries, and tea, all with a side of butter. She also has 4 forks, a singular spoon, and 3 different types of knives. Oh, and she also has extra tea and whatever the f is in here. Okay, why does Annalise eat the diet of a D1 athlete every morning? She should either be absolutely yoked as or have a feature-length episode of My 600-Pound Life, because at this point, this is not healthy. This next song is called The Cat's Meow, where Erica sings to Wolfie about how he doesn't need to change his barking habits. So basically, she's enabling him to be problematic. Hashtag Erica is over party. During this song, we're also introduced to King Dominic, voiced by Mark Hildreth for speaking and Mark Luna for singing. Dominic has been in disguise as a royal servant so that he could truly get to know Erica before marrying her. Which, yes, is creepy. Bro, you're the king of a country. Just ask her on a date. The f is she gonna do? Say no? She's too broke to say no. In the next scene, Erica is formally introduced to King Dominic. Here we get a song titled If You Love Me for Me, where they sing about loving each other for who they truly are. and not the fact that they're both insanely loaded with millions of dollars in liquid assets. It's a cute song, but quite ironic since Erica is still entirely lying about who she is. But this is something she feels bad about, especially now that she's falling in love with the king. Seraphina's useless ass finally makes it to the castle, but she is immediately captured by Preminger and Midas. After finding the note attached to Seraphina's collar, he makes his way down to Madame Carp's shop. Herve Kazaz frees Seraphina from Preminger's bag, which kind of amounts to nothing because Annalise and Seraphina are both quickly captured and taken to the mines by Preminger. Preminger then throws Annalise into the same room that they've kept Julian in for about 2 days now. Remember Julian? From when he got captured? 2 days ago? Seriously, the princess goes missing and everyone goes crazy, but no one bats an eye when her best friend and teacher has been missing for 36 hours. Also, you have to imagine the fact that Preminger forcefully captured the princess and dragged her out of town without anyone noticing. It reminds me of that scene in Grow Up Timmy Turner when they captured Tootie in broad daylight. Preminger's new plan is to have Annalise and Julian die of starvation in the mines, and say that the princess died in a tragic mining accident. Why would literally anyone believe that? His new plan to become king is to marry Queen Genevieve. Which, I mean, he could have done that from the start. She's rich, single, and most importantly, not a minor. In the next scene, Preminger's new plan comes to a head when he has Erica detained for being an imposter, which, yes, is a reference to the hit 2018 game Among Us.
Among Us.
He says that Julian captured Annalise and took her to the mines so that Erica could take the throne. And although that plan is free of any real plot holes, what the hell is the point of it? Like, why would Julian want some random brunette on the throne? Because it'd be kinda silly? Like, this provides nothing for him, so why would he do it at all? Also, yes, she does indeed get Chekhov's gun with the birthmark. Erica also gets weave snatched and is then sent to the dungeon by Preminger. Objection! Preminger figures that the best time to propose to a woman is shortly after her daughter has been brutally killed by 40 tons of fallen rock. But he lightens the blow by doing it in the form of a song. This is where we get our 8th song of the movie, titled How Can You Refuse? This is a reprise of How Can I Refuse, so unsurprisingly, it's still a banger. But the queen does reluctantly accept his offer because he still is insanely goddamn rich, and it would be kind of selfish to not marry him at this point. Also, this movie does extort a lot of women for marriage. I mean, it's only twice, but saying only twice is kinda wild, right? Back in the mines, Annalise finally confesses her love to Julian, but this singular interaction is so hilarious out of context.
I think you're like this.
A rock?
Because Herve Kazaz is the f***ing goat, he runs into town to get Wolfie, then runs all the way back to the mines, where Wolfie can smell another way in. I have no real evidence that this wouldn't work, so I'm just gonna let it slide for now. Wolfie just digs into this random sinkhole, and he then figures it looks safe enough and just dives in head first. He then cannonballs through solid oak and makes his way to the princess and Julian. After getting down into the hole, Annalise and Julian use the flowing water to make their way back up out of the hole and head to the wedding. Erica ends up using things lying around her prison cell to make a hook and grab the cell keys from this sleeping prison guard. Also, they use the same groaning sound bite for this guard twice, and it is very noticeable. I'm not 100% sure what her escape plan exactly is, and neither is she, because she ends up getting caught by this guard who definitely isn't King Dominic in disguise. Why would King Dominic be in disguise? He never wears disguises. Dominic reveals himself to Erica, and Annalise crashes the wedding and reveals that she truly is the princess by showing off her birthmark. Steve and Alex try to take their leaves, but are tripped by Erica and Annalise on their way out. Preminger tries to escape by riding Herve Kazaz, but Herve hates Preminger, so he throws Preminger off of his back into the wedding cake. Oh, come on, Herve, now no one gets the cake. After that, Preminger gets arrested and gets life in the catacombs, and the day is saved. Hooray! After all the craziness has settled down, Erica gets all her debt paid off and goes off to see the world. For like a weekend, because she comes back at the end of the movie where Erica and Dominic have a double wedding with Annalise and Julian. Annalise and Julian also get the kingdom out of poverty by using the amethyst stones that they found in the mines. How they ignored those for all the years, I have no clue. But after all the happily ever after and the movie rolls a little bit of credits, we do get what I love about 2004 animated films. The animated blooper reel. This one in particular is honestly just funny as hell.
Do a plie and don't
Ever
never show dismay.
But after the last blooper ends, the movie does the same. Okay, so that was Barbie as the Princess and the Pauper. I mean, I don't have a lot to say, but I am glad that I'm 21 now, because although I thoroughly enjoyed the act of watching that movie, I absolutely need a shot right now. This movie is ridiculous. I mean, the villain's entire plan is to plunge his own kingdom into poverty just to marry a 17-year-old girl so he gets the title of king and nothing else. He was already rich. Like, dude isn't even a predator. He just wants to be a king for the sake of being a king. And that is the part of his grind that I respect. But I'm gonna give this movie a 9 out of 10 on the fun score. It is genuinely a blast to watch. The movie critically though, it leaves a bit to be desired, but it's still a solid film. Without going too deep into this or getting super cynical, I'm just gonna give it a 5 out of 10. It is a 2004 kids movie. I don't feel like I need to explain my rating that much. But before you guys go, please, I need to thank you for 50,000 subscribers. I mean, it's still so surreal to me. We are not only halfway to 100,000, and that is absolutely amazing. But like, I have 50,000 subscribers. That's a wild. I don't have much to say, honestly. I've made like 4 posts about this across my various socials, so I'm gonna keep it brief for now, but I just wanted to say thank you all very much. As usual, make sure you check out all of the socials. If I reach 1,000 followers on Instagram by the end of the year, maybe one of the alternative girls that I follow who don't know that I exist will finally notice me. Thank you all for the amazing fan art that has been scrolling for a while now. The best place to send me fan art is in the Discord because it is the one place that I know I will constantly check for it. Speaking of which, join the Discord because I want to start doing Barbie movie bingo nights, since not only do I not have the time to make videos on every single one, but this is a good way for us to watch them all together. But that all aside, me and the gang have to get back to plundering the ocean for doubloons. They're just upset because they have to clean the poop deck. It is your punishment for bringing stowaways. Yeah, sure.